Hi, Debbie. Good to see you here today, and really excited to that you're going to be speaking at our PM symposium coming up 6th of October. Really looking forward to your session. I will definitely plan to be there, either in person or virtual. And a couple of intriguing things about your topic, data privacy, right? As a project manager, new to the world of data privacy, uh, getting into global implementations, what advice can you give a project manager as to why they should be interested in data privacy, what the impact is?
Yeah, I think for a project manager, it's very vital to be plugged into data privacy because data is the lifeblood of organizations. And so privacy is an issue that runs horizontal in any type of organization. Some organizations say data is not only is vital, maybe is one of their biggest assets as a company. So understanding the rights of people, understanding how data flows, understanding so that you can ask the right questions will definitely make you a more valuable asset to a team. And also it will help enrich your job and your role.
Great, you hit right home on how I equate data to blood running through my body. If my blood's not clean, it affects your whole body, right? Your whole ecosystem. So that's what I equate data. When you say data, now it gels, right? Data privacy is also got to be very key to this. Do you see a lot of differences in the requirements from country to country? Are there certain countries we should be more conscious about it? And from a regulatory perspective?
Yeah, there are differences. There are quite a few differences from country to country. I like to think of privacy in sort of three buckets. So one is countries that look at privacy as a maybe a consumer right, like we have in the US, where a lot of businesses really drive those regulations because it's a business to consumer type of thing, where places in Europe or even India, where privacy is a fundamental human right, your right to privacy is not tied to your consumption, even though consumption is part of it.
Mhm.
You still have privacy rights even when you're not consuming. And then we have um, more authoritarian countries like China, where the government decides what your rights are. So consumers definitely have rights, but the government's rights often supersede that of the individual.
Fantastic. Two more questions. The question I have for you is from an industry perspective, right? Pharmaceuticals, of course, there's a lot of regulation around it, medical information, a lot more stringent requirements. Manufacturing, I come from manufacturing. Why, what should I be conscious about from a data privacy perspective, being in a manufacturing industry?
I think it's vital that companies need to take a second look at especially emerging technologies that they're bringing on to the company, because a lot of those technologies are collecting data that was never collected before and is raising the risk that company have when they deal with data. So like everyone's all
Right.
excited about AI right now, right? So AI raises a privacy risk because it may not be clear how AI tools are ingesting personal data of people and how it's outputting that information. So those types of things raise the privacy risk for companies, and they may not think about it, right? So they may think, let's say they had a tool where they just wrote memos and then they add generative AI to it, and they're not thinking, okay, I need to reassess this tool in the eyes of the fact that maybe I'm collecting more data than I did before. Maybe I need to think more around how this data is retained. So anytime you hear about an emerging technology that a company wants to implement, if you hear anything about, digital transformation is the hot word, right? So that digital transformation may pull in more data than maybe the company had thought that they were pulling in before, and there has to be a privacy look at those things to make sure that companies are not running afoul of those things, but then also being able to use whatever data they have to do business without hurting humans.
Interesting. Thank you for that perspective. I mean, my eyes are just opening up as I'm listening to you talk about things like Internet of Things, right? You could have blood pressure monitors, you could have blood sugar levels, all those, that's data, right? Being collected either wirelessly or through cables, right? It just opens up your eyes about the potential of leaks in information as it's transmitted across, affects data architecture, system architectures. So it's just no longer about software and data and software. It's equipment. It's artificial intelligence, like you mentioned. Where does that pull out the information and then spits it out in a different form? It's just mind-boggling as the whole data privacy maturity evolves, right? And even within companies, the maturity of the teams, the project teams, how they learning to ask the right questions when you start the project with a new supplier. So thank you for that. One last question, right? Why would I attend your session at the symposium? Tell me what I can expect from the session. I know it's going to be a gripping one, but you know what you're going to talk about. Give us a little teaser about why I should take the time to attend.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I get to meet the Data Diva in person. Also, we'll be talking about the practical things that project managers need to be thinking about, especially around emerging technologies, privacy, security, governance. Governance is a word I'm sure that people heard a lot of times, but governance takes on maybe a new perspective and a new dimension when now you're not governing things that are static, you're governing things that are dynamic and are changing in ways that maybe you hadn't thought about before. So I think people who come to the session will be able to walk away with some practical tips that they can use right away around AI, data privacy, security, and data governance.
Thank you. Thank you for that. And I look forward to seeing you there.